Alrighty, Travels with Dottie is back, and it is a Wednesday, and it is the 22nd of February, and I am back at La Posa South with my camping buddies, Daryl and Jim, and I've been gone a week, and we celebrated last night by going out to the Stagecoach Chinese place in Quartzsite, and that was good. I had some leftovers, which I had an egg roll for breakfast. It's got the word egg in it, so I figured that's okay. And I am on my way into town to accomplish a number of mundane yet vitally interesting things to me, because they're all happening to me. That's kind of the way it goes, doesn't it? So first off, I have several packages that have been delivered to my mail service. Two of them I'm very excited about. One is a new microphone for this, so after this video, I'm thinking you're going to be hearing some crystal clear audio, no matter what. And maybe you won't hear things rattling in the back like they are right now, and I have to compete with all these ambient sounds. And the second thing is, you see I've left my beard go for a few days because I am taking possession of a Bronze Series 9 razor, which I have been eyeing for over a year, and I finally pulled the trigger, finally got a deal, and it's probably the number one razor on the electric razor on the market, and the price reflects that. When I first started looking at them, they were in excess of $400. The one I got right now, I think with all my discounts and everything, that I waited for about $220 delivered, so almost half of what it originally was. And we will see, you will also see in the next video, you may hear crystal clear audio and a baby smooth face and head. Maybe. We'll see. And what else? I have a Bluetooth MPPT controller that, because of the way it was mounted inside my storage compartment, I think it's near like maybe an aluminum stud or between two, the Bluetooth range is horrific. It's terrible. So I'm going to go to Discount Solar where I bought it, and I believe you can buy a Bluetooth transmitter you can plug into the back of it. We'll see about that. So I'm excited about being able to not have to almost walk up to my unit to get the Bluetooth to connect. And a few miscellaneous grocery items. Ran out of tortillas this morning, God forbid. And the real tragedy is I run out of Oreo cookies. That in itself might be worth its own trip into Quartzsite. Can't run out of Oreo cookies. And please put into the comments everything you think about the nutritional value of Oreo cookies. Actually, Oreo double stuffed cookies, I think are good for you. It's like a daily vitamin. So, it was, I'm not going to say last night was the windiest I've ever experienced in Quartzsite, but it was in the top one or two. The windy application that I used was predicting gusts of 70 mile per hour around 1 in the morning, and I believe them. It was, there were a couple of moments where for the first time, maybe it was the worst, because for a couple of moments for the first time I got a little scared in a big gust when the trailer seemed to move way more than I was comfortable with. And here's what's interesting about Dottie, and not so much George, but George too. I took a picture of them sleeping. They were both sleeping on the bed. And that's amazing because Dottie's MO during any kind of wind or thunderstorm has always been coming up and you'll hide behind the chair that I'm sitting in and shake and just is inconsolable. But not last night, and I'm in George, I don't think George much gets scared. George doesn't get scared of anything. But Dottie was sound asleep. George right next to him, sound asleep. I'll put the picture up in here. And so I guess Dottie has become acclimated to windstorms. And Dottie was far less nervous than I was. But I woke up and nothing was damaged. A chair that I hadn't put quite right was knocked over. That was no big deal. But Jim, Daryl and I got up and looked over at Jim's place, and there was some stuff sort of spread out that had blown away. One of them was a metal cook stove had blown away. That's kind of surprising. So we picked up that stuff for Jim, and I saw him take off this morning did you know there's line dancing lessons in Quartzsite on Wednesday mornings? And he goes every Wednesday morning and takes line dancing lessons, and it's either at the QIA or at the senior center. If you really want to know the details, ask me in the comments, and I'll ask Jim, and I'll post everything. But I had the honor of being on a cruise ship and trying to learn. Well, it wasn't line dancing. I think it was salsa dancing. I went to a lesson, and midway through the lesson, the instructor pulled me aside and said, this probably isn't for you. She was basically asking me to leave. That's how bad I was. So I'm not, when a guy says, I think I really can't dance, you might want to believe them when they say that. At least believe me when I say it. It's like, I believe people usually when they say they can't sing, I take them at their word. So, many people have been remarking how busy it is in Quartzsite compared to their expectation. We're getting towards the end of February. A week from today we'll be in March, right? And it's still fairly busy here. But here's what I remember about March, my first March in Quartzsite last year. I stayed, I think, until about the 15th, and it was starting to get hot. It was starting to get warm. There were a couple of times I remember at camp. I was camping at the Spot last year, and I was babysitting dogs along with Dottie, and it got so hot that I fired up my generator, put on my air conditioner, and piled all the dogs into my rig to cool them down. I think we're gonna go get I was gonna say we're gonna go get the mail first, but I'm thinking if I get the mail, I might be able to break open that package, and if it's got a charge, I might be able to hook up the new microphone in the parking lot, and then you can see the difference between the sound quality now and the sound quality later, and let me know in the comments if I invested wisely, or I chose wisely from the Indiana Jones things, or I wasted my money. I think it's wisely, but we'll see. Anybody recall my first microphone purchase? It was a lavalier microphone that just plugs into the side of the iPhone with the lightning port, and it clips. It had like a 6-foot cord, and it clips onto your shirt, and it looks like it would be beautiful. It was worse than horrible. I threw it in the trash can. I think what it's made for is recording indoors where you don't move at all, and it just could not handle riding in the car. It just crackled and muffled and made all kinds of sound. I did a long video that I was really pretty happy with, and it ruined it. I couldn't use the audio was completely unusable. All right, I'm going to be right back, and when I come back, maybe I'll have new sound. Okay, here I am, and I am out of the mail service, and I got the mic. You can see it. Let me show it to you. It's got a little furry windscreen on it, but it's a little thing that it's got a clips on here, and we will see if I have chosen wisely. And I will let you, my listeners, make that determination. So it also got my shaver, and I guess I could have taken that out and shaved, but I think I'll wait till I get home to do that. So let's see just a little bit here. And I think I'm cutting off the top of my head, but you don't care, do you? So now we're gonna go find some water, and then we'll go to the dollar store and Coyote and Discount Solar. Kind of an exciting day for me. I got a lot of things to do, and I really enjoyed the camp out with the Deborah Dickinson Patreons. I ended up being gone from my regular campsite for almost a week, and I really kind of missed it. We were going to go down to Imperial Dam. That was the plan, just to, do something different. And they scouted it out while I was gone and came back and said, it doesn't look like a fun place to camp. I didn't get a lot of details, but they said it was very rocky and maybe a little crowded, and it sits high up and very windy. They just didn't like it. So we're, Jim and I were saying, we've been in the same spot in La Posa South 2 years in a row. We ought to try something different. But there's a reason we're in the spot 2 years in a row. We really like it. It's the only negative, and it's not a negative to me, it could be a negative for others, is we're fairly close to 95, and you can hear traffic, but that doesn't bother me in the least. We're at a place where it's people don't drive through because there's nowhere to go past us. There's a little, I like to call it, refer to it as our secret entrance and exit, where we can, just behind where my rig is, you drive a little bit through the desert, you're at 95, there's a place to turn in and out, and you don't have to go through the main entrance of La Posa South. It's very, very convenient. And there's no one around us. There's, at the most, during the peak, there was one or two people, and the closest one was maybe 200 or 300 yards away. So we're staying there. And I still have no idea what the hell I'm going to do in March. And I say that almost like that's a problem. It's not a problem. It's a feature. That's what we used to say in the little bit of software development I was in years back. Someone would say that, hey, there's a problem with the software, it's doing this. And I'd say, that's not a problem, that's a feature. And it really is a feature of this lifestyle, full-time RV nomad lifestyle, where you're in a position where you have no idea where you're going to be. It's great. It is fantastic because it's exciting. I have the freedom for that to be okay. if that makes sense. I am free to not know where I'm going to be because I don't have to be anywhere. I had kind of an epiphany over the weekend. I was frugal RV gal. I have to give her this. I gave her credit for Dottie's dog food diet, and I can't thank her enough for that because it's changed Dottie's life. The other thing is that she was known for this. If you ask her where you're going to be or how long you're going to be here or there, she won't answer you. She won't give you an answer. And I realized, if someone asks you, are you going to be here? When are you going to be here? And you give an answer to that, an answer other than I don't know. Let's say you give a date. Well, I'm going to be there on the 21st. For me, it creates an obligation to me. I have to be there on the 21st because I gave my word. Well, you don't have to give your word if you don't give that answer. And you don't always have to commit. And this happened this weekend. My camping buddy said, when are you coming back? And I said, initially when I left, I said, I'm coming back on Sunday. And then I changed it to Monday. And I was getting all tense because I wanted to stay till Tuesday. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I contacted my friends and said, I'm not sure when I'm going to be back. I'll let you know. And you know what? They were fine with that. This sense of, and by the way, all I'm doing is sitting here waiting for the person in front of me to get their water. And I'm going to go in there if you're wondering why I'm sitting here. And I totally lost my train of thought. There are times where it's expected. You have to, someone has something planned and they invite you to it, and you say, or I'm inviting you, will you be there? It's on the 21st. And you say, yes, I'm going to be there. Then you should keep your word and be there. But if it's a casual thing, most people, especially in this lifestyle, are very understanding. When you say, I don't know whether I'm going to go to that thing or not, I might not know to the day of or the day before. And people are totally okay with that. And so there's no purpose in manufacturing sort of schedule and commitment in my head. If you work a career, you get used to that. You get used to a series of requests and demands and commitments and following through on commitments and doing what you say you're going to do because you need to do those things to be successful. And in nomad life, you need to figure out how to not do that to be successful. The objective is to be as the most at peace you can be. And you may say, well, wait a minute, what about other people and consideration of other people? I'm saying, that's a big part of nomad life, but that doesn't include committing to people when and where you're going to do things. It's not necessary. It's not ill consideration of others to be that way. When I say nomad life is the opposite of that, one of the ladies sitting around the campfire the other night she said, the wonderful thing about this is if something happens to one of us, everybody immediately drops everything and goes to that person and takes care of them. And that does happen. I've been out here a year and I see that happening over and over and over again. The generosity of people in the nomad lifestyle is amazing. Right? People give what they have. Right? Whether it's expertise, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's someone just to listen to, they are a generous group of people, and it makes for really safe community. It's really amazing. Anyway, I think I'm gonna pause it here because this lady, I think she's getting ready to leave. And I'll pull up here and get my water, and I'll come back with you in the next leg of the errand today. And I'm really anxious to see, does this sound way better? Is it the same? Is it? Just tell me. Thank you. I am back, and I got my usual 6 gallons for 4 quarters, which of course it's only supposed to be 5, but at this wonderful place, every time I get 6 gallons and it's still going. So I don't know how many gallons it gives you for 4 quarters, at least 6. And this is the mobile station with the Burger King on West Main and Quartzsite. And after getting water all over town all season, this is definitely the best one. So I'm kind of wondering what this guy's doing, but he was making a left, just not using a signal. So we are going to wander down here. We're headed to Discount Solar, which is one of my favorite places. Solar Bills and Discount Solar both have excellent reputations. They sell and install solar stuff for RVs, and universally they have good reviews. I'm a little bit more partial to Discount Solar just because that's kind of the first place I went, but I've been to both, and I have very high regard for the staff and the owners of both these businesses. Today, I mentioned earlier, I have I want to get an extension for my Victron solar controller, because where it's mounted, it isn't transmitted very far. Here's a little tidbit for you. Is Victron products they make controllers and inverter chargers, and they are pretty much the gold standard for solar systems. I don't mean to knock Renogy. A lot of people use Renogy products, but they're less expensive, and it's quite obvious the quality isn't up to Victron, and that's why Victron is more expensive. Now, my understanding is that Victron sets the retail selling prices. So you would think, hey, if I go and buy a substantial piece of Victron equipment here in town, I'm better off going on the internet. And the answer, that would be an incorrect assumption. In fact, what I believe happens is when Victron supplies a store, and they have to be an authorized seller, that they set the price then, and if the price goes up and they don't sell what they have, the lower price is what they still need to sell it at. They can't do price hikes, which explains the couple of times I've gone to buy Victron products at Discount Solar. There was one, I bought a temperature sensor that the going rate everywhere else was $30, and they were selling it for like $15, for like half. So I wouldn't expect, I'm not telling you should expect to spend less at Discount Solar for Victron products than elsewhere. I'm saying you shouldn't expect to pay more at Discount Solar or any other authorized Victron retailer. So it's very convenient that I don't need to wait for Amazon to deliver a Victron product to me. I can just pull up to my friends here at Discount Solar and buy what I need, and I'm assured that the price is going to be comparable. It's going to be the same as what I find online. And it's just a question of, I should have called to see if they have what I need. They might not. Okay, so they did not have it in stock, so I will order it online. And here's the other thing about Victron. I like to order things as much as I can directly from manufacturers, but you cannot do that with Victron. Victron does not sell directly. It only sells through authorized dealers. And the other thing you need to know is that the support is only, any telephone or live support is only from that authorized dealer, not from Victron corporate. So it's an interesting thing to know. So I'll order it on Amazon through an authorized Victron dealer on Amazon and get it in a couple of weeks. And it looks like a busy day at Family Dollar. And what am I looking for at Family Dollar today? I'm looking for, somehow in the last move, I lost one of the doggy my outdoor doggy water bowl. I want one of those. And Dottie, what else? Do you want to see Dottie? Dottie, what else do we need? Your water bowl, and there was one other thing. It's on the list. What the heck was it, Dottie? I can't remember. Oh, bottled water. Ha ha ha. That's not the most frugal thing in the world, to be drinking bottled water, but I love my bottled flavored water, and someday I will be responsible and start flavoring my own damn water. Anyway, I'll be right back. So I'm going to put your window down a little bit there, Dottie. Alrighty, I got all my necessities at Coyote Fresh. And I have one more stop, and it's a good thing I use a checklist on my phone, because I would have forgotten about this last thing. And the last thing is to go to K&B down here on Main Street and buy a small folding table. Why? You might ask. Well, it's one of these things that in Nomad life, I suddenly realized I'd been doing something unnecessary for a long time. And the unnecessary thing is I have this round side table that is plastic with like a plexiglass top, and I like to have it outside, something to put my drink or my sandwich on when I'm outside. And, you know, it's got fixed legs on it. It's lightweight, yet it's a giant pain in the ass to pack away every time I move. And I've been moving this thing around for a year. And the other day, you might recall, Sally Forth YouTube channel said, hey, if you're going into town, would you do me a favor and stop at K&B and buy? She showed me this collapsible metal table, folding, not collapsible. I said sure, and I had to go to both K&Bs to finally find it. I found it, and I gave it to her. And as I'm giving it to her out in front of my place, and I think it was her that said, you know, you'd probably be a lot better off with one of these, maybe a little bit larger size, than struggling with that one that the legs don't fold. Well, duh. Hello? Is anyone home? So I'm headed back to K&B. I'm not going to buy the exact one she did. She got a little tiny mini one. I want the next size up. But I do have that plastic table that on the way back, hopefully I'll remember the last stop is to dump that in the dumpster, the old one. I've got it in the back of the truck, and I'm going to stop by K&B up here and buy a new one. Isn't that exciting? I'm not a big snack food guy, but I'm hungry, and I bought some sour cream chips. Good. It's a big no-no in counseling to eat in front of your client is one of the first big mistakes I made during my internship. And luckily I had a client that had been going to counseling for a very long time, and she set me straight on eating an apple in a counseling session and glancing at your watch multiple times are both pretty negative things to do. And I profusely thanked her, and I didn't do either of those things. Now, I will occasionally eat in front of a client after asking for permission to do so, and if I sense any kind of hesitancy, even if they say it's okay, then I don't do it. But it's these rare times that are my fault, is that I'll prepare something hot to eat and I won't plan well, and it'll get done 5 minutes before or 2 minutes before my session. And I'll be starving, and it's really hard to like sit and look at a hot meal while you're doing counseling and not be able to touch it. But that's extremely rare, I promise. But I have been guilty. All right, I'm at K&B, and I should be coming back with a table. Well, I did not come out with a table for two reasons. Well, really one reason. As it turns out, this is the one I went to second to get the small one that the other K&B didn't have for Sally. So I got here and they weren't where they were before, and I asked. He said, "Well, they're in the tent, and the tent's closed because of the wind, and we only have the small and the large." So the size I need, hopefully they still have it at the original K&B. So it's kind of ironic that I'm making 4 K&B trips in 2 days for metal tables. And we will see how busy it is on Kuhn Street in Tyson Wells. And whether we can get a parking place. It's getting pretty windy again, not like scary windy like it was last night. It was, even for Quartzsite, last night was intense. It's the topic of conversation in every store that I've gone in today, is the wind. Oh, so, I've been and continue to be a big supporter of Silly Al's Pizza. And there's another pizza place in town. Now, the name escapes me in the moment, but I will find this part and I'll flash the name and the address up there. But they arrived in town. They opened last year, and I went with some buddies when it first opened, and we were very disappointed. It was like the crust was soggy. It was, you'd pick up a piece and it would, how it droops. So we never went back again. Then I kept hearing this year about how great it was. So a couple of days ago, we finally tried it again, and it was every bit as good as Silly Al's. And, someone was saying, well, it's cheaper than Silly Al's. Maybe $1 or $2, depending. It's in the same, don't go there to save money. It's basically equivalent, maybe $1 or $2 less for a large. And, who knows whether their large is exactly Silly Al's, but they're comparable in pricing. And so there's 2 pretty good pizza places in town now. That's pretty exciting. And forgive me for not remembering the name of it, but it's up there. I promise. I did it. I remembered. A lot of these places are closed, and it looks like K&B might be closed. Yep, it's closed. It's too windy. These places, oh, well, maybe it is. I can't really tell. I'll be back and I'll let you know whether it's open. You might notice I don't have a table in my hand because KB is in fact closed, as all of these businesses on Kuhn Street are closed due to the high winds because of the nature of the, they're just a roof with a bunch of tarps, and the wind is just too high for them to remain open. So I'll have to do this another day. But that's part of the Quartzsite life. And now I am going to head back with only one unchecked item on my to-do list left, and that is to go by the dumpsters and throw away that table. And for some reason, about half the time when I intend to go dump on the way out or the way back, I forget. And I wish there was some way for you to send a signal to me to remind me to do it, but by the time you see this, it'll already be done, and I will have remembered or not. The wind in the desert is, there's nothing to break it, right? It comes shooting over those mountains and across these vast, flat desert, and it is amazing. And I like it. There are definitely disadvantages to it. Things get blown around. You can't really spend much time outside. You got to be inside. But if it were 75 degrees and sunny and still every single day, people would complain about that. I probably would be one of them. Why? Because you get bored with it. It's hard to get bored with the conditions in the desert because they are always changing. The one thing I haven't gone through is I've been through maybe a moderate rainstorm, not a really intense, long, big one where the washes fill and, even if you wanted to, you couldn't get out because you couldn't go through the washes. That's I think that happens, if I'm not wrong, could be wrong, I think that happens in the summer, but that would be a pretty amazing thing to see happen. I was talking earlier about the generosity of people in Nomad life. And I use interchangeably full-time RV and Nomad life interchangeably. I think for the most part they're the same thing. But I think I mentioned I ran into people that I knew, and those people have a connection to a situation where I know someone really needed help getting into a new rig. It was vitally important that they get out of the rig that they were in and into a different one. And okay, so I just did it. I just passed the entrance that I should have gone in to go to the place to do the trash, because I have the back entrance here that I always talk about, our secret entrance that goes right to our campsite. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull into where the back entrance is, and I'm going to do a U-turn, and I'm going to go back the other way, and I'm going to pride myself in remembering I wanted to go to the dumpster. But right here is where the back entrance is, and it's just not a couple hundred yards. I can see my rig from right here. If you look straight ahead, it's too small, but it's right in the middle. My little micro mini, it's right over there, very close. But I'm going to go back, and I'm going to throw away my trash. So anyway, needed to be in a new rig, extremely limited funds, and through the generosity of and compassion and kindness of people in this community, when I ran into her, she was driving her new rig. She was so proud of it, and she got what she needed. She sold her rig, and someone really in need got what they needed, and specifically in getting her rig, and she got what she needed, and it all worked out because people in the community saw someone that for the moment needed a helping hand. The generosity and kindness and compassion of people in this community, everyone got what they needed, and someone that in the moment needed help got help in that moment. And I say in the moment because those people that need help in the moment and get it in the community become available to be helpers next time around. And they do it because they remember that there were people there for them. So without even having to say it, they become available to other people that need help. And it's a beautiful thing. It works a lot like 12-step recovery, where the cure isn't so much just stopping the addictive behavior. The cure is stopping the addictive behavior and starting to care about people outside of you, and starting to be willing to take action to help and be of service to others. And somehow, organically, this is what was created in the nomadic full-time RV community. And it's a real blessing. It really is. In this time that we find ourselves in, that it's so divided and there's so much anger and intolerance, that there is a community out in this country that is what I think represents when you ask what's great about this country, that's what's great about this country. When people act with kindness and compassion and not anger and fear. So I am coming up on the dumpsters, and you can rest assured I'm not gonna skip this one, and I will see you next time. Oh, footnote, just for those of you that may have been concerned, he's throwing away a perfectly good table in the dumpster. That's not exactly true. So the way it works here is that if you have something that doesn't weigh a ton and is absolutely nothing wrong with it, and you're getting rid of it because you just don't need it anymore, you leave it next to the dumpster, and someone that needs it will pick it up and take it and reuse it. And there's nothing wrong with that table. If you have the room to carry it, it's a great little table. It's like it's the kind of thing that's part of an outdoor patio furniture set. So I threw my bag in, but I know it's real windy, so I kind of hooked it to the fence, and I bet you within a couple of hours it'll be gone. Somebody that needs it will get it. So just wanted you to know I did not waste it. Take care. And you thought it was the end. It's not an end. Here's another little thing I decided to tack on, because I talked about how much we love our little spot out here. And this is it. Straight ahead, if you look, you can see an Airstream. That guy's pretty new here. I hadn't noticed him before, but he's probably our closest neighbor. You can see how far away that is. And this is us right here. You see Daryl's in the Class A. To the right of him, you can see the front of a Class C, which is Jim. And the Winnebago Micro Mini is me with the solar panels out there. And you see a couple of them are flat because of all the wind. My soft ones are flat because otherwise the wind would just knock them over. I'll pull around here, you can see what the camp looks like from the other side here, and how much. There's a guy straight up there that's pretty far away. That's 200 yards away at least. And he's got a little encampment there, and he's very quiet. And there's a fifth wheel over there, but that's at the other side of a wash. And there's just no traffic here, and it's nice and quiet, and we got all kinds of room in here. Here we are at home.